Good morning, this is Jack from Charting Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 28th of May. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, let's have a look at ES. Now, we've had some really small sell signals here. These are very unusually small, but they are actually valid. So I've marked them in. We've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed on ES, but I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest to see that overridden. On NQ, we've got a possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing. On RTY, we've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed. On YM, we've not had divergence because we haven't actually quite reached the buy signal target. On DAX, we've got a 60-minute sell signal fix, and on ESTX, we've got nothing. So, but that's a fair number of very weak divergences here, and that is worth bearing in mind. In terms of where we are in terms of pattern setup, I think we're on the way back up to retest this high, and very possibly on the way back up to retest the all-time high on ES. On NQ, we're getting very close to retesting this high already. RTY has actually broken up from this little IHS. The minimum target is actually the retest of the prior high, which is why it's got the 2 arrows here in. And this is the extended target. But I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think that looks pretty good. And we've got another one on YM, which again looks pretty good. Now these could invalidate today with a breakdown and a move down below the weekly pivot on YM, but I think there's a pretty good chance these are going to make target. Nothing really on DAX, possible level top, I guess, but nothing really to speak of on the Europeans. Okay, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Right, on SPX, we got some weak RSI 5 sell signals fixed. These are much weaker than RSI 14 sell signals on the 15-minute, which aren't actually particularly strong signals themselves. So it's a little bit of negative divergence, but not a lot. Nothing on the hourly chart. On the daily chart, obviously we saw a back test of the daily middle band, and what looks like daily middle band was slightly below, but it looks like a back test now because obviously that's rising quite strongly. And the 200 DMA, this was the obvious place to find support. I wrote a post about it on Friday, and so far we have found support there, and we're likely heading back into the high. Looking at the Qs, we didn't quite make it to the daily middle band there. Again, looks closer than it actually was because, of course, it is again rising quite strongly. When we do reach the high, we could see a bit of RSI 14 negative divergence and a tiny bit on SPX as well. I won't be taking that particularly seriously, but I will be noting it. On the hourly chart, no current divergence, getting pretty close. And we've got, on the 15-minute chart, no divergence there. On Dia, we made it back for a full test of the daily middle band, and it's moved up from there. We've got an RSI 14 buy signal, not a wildly strong one, but decent on the hourly chart, and that's making it back towards the target, but hasn't made the possible near miss target yet. We've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fix on the 15-minute. Do we have the IHS that we're seeing on the bigger picture? On the futures chart here? Not really, no. Let's have a look at IWM. Okay, wait a second. All right, bear with me a moment. Okay, looking at IWM. On the daily chart, we had a very aggressive test of the daily middle band, but we held it, and or at least if we broke below, we then saw an immediate rejection, but it was pretty close either way. I'm liking the upside here, and we've got, I would note, a potential inverted head and shoulders here, and it's quite a nice one. And where this looks for, hang on, I'll just put in a couple of arrows here. But this is actually an interesting one because this is suggesting that we might actually be about to see a move that could take us back up into a retest of the November high. And this is the only, while I'm thinking we might well see a strong move to the upside here in the, basically June is what we've got left. June and a little bit of change in July is what we've got left of the tariff hold period. But if we were to see a strong move up here, it looks like we might go back and retest the November high because this is where the IHS target would be. Now again, the main target would actually be the back test of the prior high, but this would be the extended target. And this is not a bad pattern that could get us there. In terms of the daily sell signals, we had two, and they both reached possible near miss targets, so I'm disregarding them. We had an RSI 14 buy signal fix here on the hourly chart, and that's now reached the possible near miss target. 15-minute, we've got some weak sell signal fixed on. Well, we've got a weak sell signal fixed on the RSI 14, full size one on the RSI 5. But the obvious next move is a retest of this high, and then I'm thinking likely higher. But on the bigger picture, you can see left shoulder, head, right shoulder. This isn't a bad setup to take this higher. All right, DAX, we've actually got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Going higher at the moment, nice back test of the daily middle band. Nikkei also tested the daily middle band. Everything coming strongly off it. And we've got a window. We've got a window into July the 9th, which is when the original 90 days of the tariff pause ends. And I'm thinking that would be an obvious opportunity, really the main opportunity, to see a retest the all-time high if we are going to see one. I'm quite liking it. We will see. In terms of just looking at the Nikkei chart, there is a potential inverted head shoulders here too, but I think it is just too big. I think the extended target would be up here, and I think that's just too large relative to the preceding trend. But we'll see how that goes. All right, great. In that case, let's move on and have a look at DX. Okay, DX, we've still got a target down here in about the 98.4 area. We've seen a bit of a rally here. We've now got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed. We're seeing some supporting signals to that on the other currencies as well. Not on Euro, and not on USD, GBP USD, but on USD JPY, we got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. USD CAD, we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. We've got a buy signal fixed on Australian dollar. So we are seeing some support for the dollar going down for a bit from here. On ZB, we've actually got a high quality 60-minute sell signal fixed, which is interesting. I was thinking we'd probably be heading straight back up here, but it looks as though we might see some retracement first. And possibly, of course, we won't get back up here, but I am wondering if I've got a couple of potential IHS necklines here. This is one. This is the other. And I'm thinking it's probably going to come up to one of these areas and try and form an IHS. We will see. All right, looking at ZN, very nice looking potential level bottom here. I'm wondering if that might deliver. I would say we've got a daily RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Actually, it might be an RSI 5. Let's have a look on TNX. Hang on, bear with me. Right, it's the early chart. Right, on the daily chart, yeah, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal effect. It's reaching target pretty fast, and we haven't actually reached the daily middle band yet, but I do think there's a pretty good chance we're going to reach the daily middle band in the 44 area. All right, so looking at CL. CL, we're still in limbo here. We've potentially got an overall bear flag here formed, and we've got similar bear flags formed on heating oil and on gasoline. But if we're going to fail here, we've got this lovely looking double top, and it's been formed for a while, and I've been waiting for it to break down, and it hasn't really yet. If it's going to obviously make tracks towards the flag support, then it's going to need to break down. But it's still kicking around the monthly pivot and the weekly pivot. We will see. All right, looking at NG. NG is coming back up into retest this high. This could well be the second high of a double top. We had an IHS here, it failed, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this low. We might not get it, but monthly pivot is still pretty strong resistance. That's where it failed last time. And a retest of this high sets up a potential level top, which could get us back there. So that would be my lean. GC, I am wondering whether we're going to see a reversal here. We didn't quite make it to the IHS target. But we've got a head and shoulders, which could be forming here to set up a deeper retracement. I'd quite like to see a break up directly, but looking at the equity markets, it's not necessarily a great time to see that. In terms of the flag here on silver, this is broken up and likely will head up and make the full target at a retest of this high here, slightly under, well, actually no, slightly over maybe the 3405 area, which we haven't quite reached after we broke up from the flag. Looking at palladium, we broke down from a head and shoulders, and that's been doing pretty well so far. That's got a target down in about the 963 area, and a pretty good match with this rising support, which it may well need to hit. On platinum, Possible topping action, can't really say any more than that at the moment. HG, we've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed. Really, if this flag originally was right, then we should be heading back up into a retest of this high here in about the 4.98 area. All right, looking at KC. KC, this IHS failed, we've gone lower. This looks like a falling wedge forming, in which case we may be heading back into the falling wedge support, which is currently in the 345 area. SB, this no longer looks like a head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders forming, and I'm leaning towards this taking us to a retest of the low here in about the 16.95 area. CC, we made the double top target, and we've now got a head and shoulders, which has broken down slightly. This has got a target in the 8,000 area, and we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. Looking at cotton likely to be retesting this low. Didn't quite make it to the double bottom target, but it looks like it's failing back into the lows now. Lumber likely to head down sooner rather than later, I think, to go back and retest this low in about the 564 area. On ZW, we've seen a 50 back here. This could be a head and shoulders forming to take us back into a retest of the low. I'm not seeing a lot of reason to expect that, but maybe. Corn, possible short-term topping action, but it might just be bullish consolidation. Soy, I am wondering about a retest of this high here in about the 108.2 to 108.3 area. On soybean oil, nothing really in terms of divergence. I am wondering about a possible head and shoulders forming here, but it wouldn't be particularly high quality. Live cattle, I'm still wondering about delivering a little lower as part of an overall bull flag forming. And lean hogs, we've got a possible flag forming, setting up a retest of this high, possibly then setting up a larger retracement. All right, let's have a quick look at questions. When? I don't really know anyone who does that. However, I've got something to talk to you about on that. But I'll think about it and I'll come back to you, mate. All right. In terms of ES, in terms of equities, I'm leaning towards the upside here. In terms of the in terms of historical stats, we've got three bullish, strongly bullish days this week, of which today is the weakest. We've got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, a bearish lean on Friday, and a bullish lean on Monday and Tuesday. The strongest day is the is Tuesday, the 3rd of June. After that, it gets a bit more bitty. But we've still got an overall bullish lean for a couple of weeks afterwards. This is where I am thinking that we may see a retest of the all-time highs. So we shall see. Right, in that case, that's a wrap. I will catch you guys tomorrow, and everyone take care. My pleasure.